and we welcome you back to the Coaches Show here on SportsNetUSA.net. Well, we're going to be honest with you here on the Coaches Show. Over the last few weeks, we've known that Fullerton College has remained undefeated. However, something was in the woodworks, and now it's official. Right now I'm being joined by Mark Pavlovich, voice of the Hornets. Mark, the sanctions have come down against Fullerton College.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's really sad about that, Ryan, is that when you look at how they penalize the team, it just once again shows you that we have people running the program that have archaic thinking when it comes to student athletes. And the sanctions show that, not only on the community college level, but on D1, D2, D3. Tell you what, it's time for people at the NCAA level, the CCCAA level, and the SFCA level to finally sit down and think what's good for the student athletes, not what's good for your organizations.
And you talk about that. Officially, the sanctions are no postseason. Fullerton forfeits all their games this year. So going from an 9-0 season to an 0-9 season, technically losing all their games. And all of a sudden you're looking at, well, Fullerton goes from possible conference champions to, well, where do they go from here?
Well, proof is in the pudding. Let's just be realistic, people. If I go out and wax you every time we meet, and the only thing you're going to accuse me of is a violation, that's it, an archaic violation. We didn't do anything to improve our team with a substance or anything else. We're the best in the nation. We haven't lost in 2 years. Nobody's beaten us. Let's get something real straight. Until you can take me out of the game, Fullerton College is number one. I don't care who wants to talk with Corey Neal and myself or Ryan Osborne about this. We'll throw in Ed Ford, too. If you can't beat us, you can't take us down, we're number one in the nation. End of conversation.
You talk about that. I mean, Fullerton with a 24-game winning streak, going from that Saddleback game 2 years ago all the way until now, and then all of a sudden you see that 0-9 go into the schedule. It's not something that for the program they say, oh, well, that's demoralizing. I guess it's all gone. No, as you said, Fullerton has yet to be beat. They played all these teams at their strength. They played Riverside City College, who was ranked number 2 at the time, and beat them by 1 point. They have routinely beat the top teams in the nation here in Southern California, and you can't take that away from them.
Well, and let's go and look at the coaches, too. These coaches, these educators, kept teaching these young men that no matter what the adversity is, you overcome it. You defeat it. You don't let outsiders take things away from you. You show them how good you are, and when you do, the rest of the world is going to realize it. I tell you what, Fullerton College educators / coaches taught their young men that no matter what the obstacle is, you can overcome that obstacle. That says more about this program than them beating the heck out of everybody they've played this year.
And you talk about that, I mean, what was it, 4 or 5 weeks ago where you and I were talking about protecting your leader. The leader of this team has been the coaching staff here for Fullerton College, and throughout this entire time, they've been really honest with us, telling us, hey, look, this is our situation, this is what's going on. Guys, we want you to be the first to know. We want to be truthful with you, and you have to credit them. This is a staff that no matter how hard it will hurt, they will tell you the truth.
Well, I'm going to turn this back on you. You've been now the host of the Coaches Show for 3 years. You have interacted with everybody on that field out there, Ryan Osborne. So I'm going to look at you. The quality of the men, be it the players and or the coaches you've met, is what?
Terrific. Excellent. So use 2 words because, as you mentioned, being here for 5 different seasons, being the host for 3 different seasons, one thing you get to know about these guys is that they have character. They want to talk to you. They know that, you know what, if you're in a position where we can help, even if it's not even through the football program, as we've discovered over the last 2 years, we want to help you just because we want to be able to say, look, at the end of the day, as a coaching staff, Fullerton College helps our community. And that's been the emphasis throughout the entire time that I've been here. You've been here for 18 years, and the relationship has stayed the same throughout.
Yeah, and in those 18 years, all I can say is that I'm very proud of everybody I've met. I love the students that have come through this program. The coaches have been a ball. And let's get something really straight. Football, in general. If you want to promote this game, if when you take it at the highest level, you make money on it, when you take it on the lower levels, you'd like to get to that point that there would be a profit margin. Then don't forget the student athlete that's out there trying to do his best, to do his homework, to help his family out, to do what he needs to do to get a meal once in a while, Ryan, and to pay rent. And when you look at him and castigate that athlete because he just wants to survive, shame on you, the game of football. Shame on you for those who are running it. And yeah, that's right. My name is Mark Pavlovich. And if you've got anything to say, you can find me anyplace. You can find him anyplace. And you can find Corey Nealon. Come on the air with us and explain to us why these archaic rules still stand today that hurt the student athlete of both genders. Not just football players, softball players, basketball players on both sides of the thing, field hockey players, and lacrosse next year. It's about time you change the rules to help the student athlete.
And when Mark talks about that, I mean, you look at these sanctions and coming down and saying, hey, you know what, instead of being 9-0, we want you guys to be 0-9. Not only are you just saying, you know what, we don't want Fullerton College to go to the playoff because we want to, quote, punish them, but you're also saying to the student athlete, all that effort that you did throughout the season, we don't care. We don't care. You're now 0-9. By the way, you're not allowed to go to the postseason and display your talents at the highest level. We don't care whether or not you want that exposure. We're not going to give it to you.
Yeah, and I think the thing is really sad, and I've got a student next to me who's been with me for a lot of years, getting ready to graduate from a major university in the area. I know the effort he's put in, and we've always done what we could do what was best for Ryan Osborne here on sports@usa.net. I'd like to think that the CCCAA and the SFCA would think about the student athlete first, what's best for them, Ryan, and then turn around and say to the schools, hey, let's try and correct some of the things that are going on. I'm with Ryan. You don't punish the player. Go after somebody else. Hey, there's administrators, there's everybody else. I'm not saying anybody should be punished myself, but don't do it to the student athlete.
And you talk about that student athlete. We've been out here for a few weeks knowing that this cloud could possibly come down and rain on the program. Just talking to the athletes, the feeling is, you know what? It's not a punishment on the program. It's a punishment on us. Because we don't have that chance to look at potential recruiters and say, watch us in the playoffs. Why don't you come down here to Southern California and watch us in a playoff game? They can't say that anymore. They have to tell recruiters, you know what? Based on what the stuff that I already have this season, you know what? You're just going to have to make that judgment for yourself. You're not able to see me in a big-time game.
And get something straight, everybody. Ryan Osborne and I are not saying, nor Corey Nealon, nor Ed Ford, that there shouldn't be rules. But it's time to rethink when you look at the rules. Hey, guys, it's 2018. Get ready for 2019. This is not 1955. The big scandals don't exist anymore. And if it's a big scandal, if it's a grade scandal or something like that, yeah, I might talk about that. But the things that go on that we've seen some of the other teams, not only Fullerton, Ryan, but some of the other teams punished for lately, come on, man. Like my friend Freddie Dreyer said to me, hey, there's a bunch of knuckleheads in football. Ryan, I think that's what's happening right now.
And I think when you talk about that, Mark, I don't think the emphasis is football anymore. I think really when you look at this sanction, and this is not just because you and I are here at the field, but if you look at it from an outsider's perspective, these sanctions were not about football. These sanctions were about making a statement. And administrators wanted to make a statement to this football program, and the question is whether or not they have.
Yeah, well, I think they did, and I think they made the wrong statement, and realize we're two fans. If you listen to us at Golden West College, Fullerton College, LA Valley, East LA call games, we're fans of the game. We love the game. I've been around it for 18 years, guys, and it's been a heck of a volunteer time for me. I'm not getting anything out of this. He gets very little out of it. Corey Nealon gets absolutely nothing out of it. And at the end of the day, we do it because we love the game of football. I just wish you love the game as much as we do and the coaches out on this field.
Well, Mark, thank you for joining us on the air. You know what? Speaking of those coaches, let's get right to them. We're going to go to David Robinson out here at Hal Scherbeck Field. So I'm being joined by Coach Robinson. And Coach Robinson, beginning of the season, you knew that you had a guy in Joey Noble who was good last year. All of a sudden, you look at your defensive line with Rawls and Heel and Noble. How has this season kind of taken form for your defensive line?
Well, I thought they were. We really had a good off season. They really worked hard in the spring, and I was very excited about this group. We worked each day and gotten better and better. I was really excited about them all. And Joey Noble's done great. He's had 23 starts here in his 2 years. He's undefeated in every game he's been in, and he's led. This year he leads the league in sacks, so it's very exciting. He's going to have, right now he's sitting at 20 and a half sacks for his 2 years being here. So Joey's done nothing but greatness here. It's very exciting, to coach him, and the other players have also done great. James has really worked hard and come back and off a gray shirt and really done a great job for us too. And Shane also, is working the other end. He's done a great job. So it's been exciting. Those guys put in a lot of hard work in, and they work hard during the week, and then they go out and perform. And it's great to see and be a part of.
Coach, over the last 3 years, it seems like you've had to coach different personalities. You go a few years ago, you had Tyler Stepney. You go to last year, you had Montre. This year, you have your entire defensive line. How have you been able to coach so many personalities?
Well, you just work with each guy individually, you know what I mean? So, each one brings something to the table, and, you try to work with their strengths and improve their weaknesses. And, each week each year it's been, a lot of guys with great talent, and you just got to, find a way to minimize the weaknesses and continue to work on their strengths. So,
when you look at this year, strength, well, those sack numbers keep racking up for your squad. How do you continually look at your defensive line and just say, you know what, we want to improve on what we did last year?
Yeah, well, that was our main focus is trying to beat, we set a sack record last year, so we're trying to beat that sack record this year. And the kids bought into that. They really worked hard on working their skills into on the pass rush and working hard in those. And, I think all of them have really improved in their skills at pass rush. And so I think that's really been, something that's a positive for us. I think last year we had more sack opportunities with our offense scoring so many points last year. But they're doing great this year. We're working hard, and we enjoy sacks around here. So.
And Coach, when you look at, you're very active on social media, posting about your guys all the time. What does it feel like for you when you go in through an entire week of practice, and then on Saturday, one of your guys ends up turning in one of the league defensive player of the week performances?
Well, that's what we try too, and that's what they aspire to is to be great. Not just good, but be great. Put the extra effort in, and those are just exciting to where those guys do and perform great. You coach them, and when they do those kinds of things, it's very fulfilling and exciting to be around. So, it's great to see their hard work pay off. So,
in practice, you guys go against the offensive line almost every day of the week. Do you feel like going against one of the better offensive lines in the state improves your defensive line?
Well, definitely. That's how we recruit them. We say that they're not, in practice is going to be the hardest week. It's harder than the games, and we go against the great offensive line and a great offensive line coach, and and we really work together. This has been a great group of working with each other, and I think we improve each other. The offensive line improves by going against us, and we improve by going against people that really know how to pass block. So it's a very good working group together and a lot of improvement.
Coach, thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you all season.
Thank you, buddy.
So right now we're here with Coach Austin. And Coach, normally we start off by talking about your defensive backs. First thing that we have to do here is talk about what's going on with this program. I mean, we already saw on the schedule, as Mark and I already mentioned, it's the 0-9 technically there. However, you guys have been champions the last 2 years. You're undefeated this season. You have the knowledge that you're the best team in the nation.
We definitely think that. I mean, I think to call yourself the champ, you got to beat the champ. And so far we haven't lost. There's been a couple of close ones. Unfortunately, we can't go to the playoffs and prove it this year. So people got to make a decision on their own. But we know what's up. We know what we've done. Can't take away anything from what these kids have done this season. The way they've handled this whole situation has been amazing. It's a lot for these kids to go through, especially at a young age. They don't understand what's going on. The amount of information that we get is super limited. And so we kind of hear from other people what's going on. So they kind of keep us in the dark too. So it kind of sucks. The kids don't know what's going on. We barely know what's going on. There's all kind of rumors and people tweeting stuff, and it's tough to deal with. And these kids have hung in there. They stayed together like a family, and we just go out every week and just try to win, just like we always do.
And Coach, I mean, when you talk about that, how do you make sure that your guys don't pay attention to that and just go out there, play your hearts out against Mount Sac?
It's hard. You can't ignore it. You can't act like it's not there. You talk to them. You let them know, hey, everyone else is competing for a paper championship. We have our goals. If they want us to get it done in 10 games instead of 13, then that's what we're going to do. But in order for us to make a statement and let everyone know that we are the champs, we the dog, we have to make a statement this weekend. We can't just have just a regular victory. We can't just show up and just expect to win. Mount Sac, they lost some games this year, but it's still Mount Sac, and there's the years where we were down and Mount Sac's undefeated and it goes down to the wire. So it's always one of those games, and we're going into it planning for it to be like that.
Now, when you do look at your defensive backs, how do you think they've progressed since the last time we talked over 3 weeks ago?
I think they've been phenomenal. Very proud of the group. You lose your top corner who was at Mount Sac now, who transferred. You lose both your starting safeties who you planned on returning and were here all spring. So Troy and Kari stepped up. Jay Brown was missing in spring, and he came back last second, and we were able to save him and bring him back into the program. Reggie Whitfield transferred in from UNLV mid-year, and so I'm really proud of how they came together. It wasn't a group that played as much as the group did the previous years. They've either played together for a whole year or even had spring ball. This group was put together all of a sudden. Not many of them had much experience, and it's just from the very first game we weren't very good, and we just kept improving. They kept working. They didn't lay their head down. They just kept trucking on, and they're starting to see the rewards now.
Week 2 of the season, I asked you, how did you grade your defensive backs? You said they're never going to get better than a D+ or a B+. Yeah. When you look at how they've performed over these last 8 weeks of play, and specifically you look at Xavion and his performance a couple weeks ago, what does it feel like to you to be able to say, beginning of the season, they're not going to get better than a B+ to where they progress now?
Well, I always say it's never going to be better than a B+. Maybe you get some A- in there, but a guy like Steele was awesome. He's so coachable. He takes everything in, and then you see it on the field. He practices the technique that you teach him. All the tools that he puts in his toolbox, he's starting to use more and more of them. He's starting to ask the right questions. He'll be a major Division I prospect next year, so we have him for another year coming back. But all in all, you keep pushing him. Every week is a challenge, and you prepare them that way. Unfortunately for us, most of the teams we play, their best players are their wide receivers. So we don't get too many weeks off. So I always pump those guys up, whether they're good or not. I'll pump them up anyway, and just have those guys ready to play the same way every week.
And, I mean, you talk about that. You take a look at the last 5 years. I mean, just a couple years ago, you had to go against Marquise Brown, who is now Hollywood Brown over at Oklahoma. And you've had these guys who have played on other community colleges going up against your defensive backs. But it seems like year in, year out, your defensive backs turn into one of the best in the nation.
Yeah, well, a lot of credit goes to Coach Crooks and the scheme. He does a great job giving us freedom to do stuff that we like to do, and we just try to match them up accordingly and play with confidence and make sure that we're not putting too much in so the kids could just play fast and be comfortable. So you always pump up the receivers, make them think that they're going to get challenged every week, whether it's Marquise Brown or the kid that's at Cal, or every year it seems like we're going to play against some big studs. I mean, the kid we played last week has got offers from UCLA and Cal and stuff like that. So we treat everyone the same. So, I mean, it's good to get some film against big-time guys like that, and it's pretty cool to watch them, the years down the line and see, like, Marquise Brown tearing up the Big 12, and he struggled against us. So, I mean, it's always fun to watch, and you see guys like that, and you got a lot of respect for them and knew that your guys were on the field with them. So,
well, Coach, I want to thank you for joining us here on the Coaches Show. I mean, me being the host of it for the last 4 years, you've always been able and willing to do an interview with us. We thank you and the coaching staff as well.
Well, you guys are awesome. We're glad that you guys have a platform for us. to get our message out and promote some of our kids. So we appreciate you, even Corey.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, have a good one.
And we welcome you back to the recap portion of the Coaches Show. You know what? Let's get right into the SportsNetUSA.net rankings from last week. We start off with number 1 Fullerton College, who has a 28-game winning streak, and they would continue that after a big win over El Camino on Saturday. Fullerton College looking to go 10-0 this season. After that win, they are 9-0 as the Hornets continue their winning ways. Then you go down to College of the Canyons, who gets ranked at number 2 here on SportsNetUSA.net. They would take on Long Beach this last Saturday. And College of the Canyons, well, they stay undefeated, one of only 2 teams in the entire state of California to remain undefeated to this point in the season. Then Riverside slots in at number 3 overall, with Butte right behind them, and Butte ends up doubling up on Sierra College by a final 42-21. El Camino, who played Fullerton, ended up getting blown out by the Hornets, but that's okay. They'll still be in our top 10, but last week they slotted in at number 5 overall in the National Division. Then a team that has kind of been up, they've been down, they're not really sure where they want to find a safe spot in this SportsNetUSA.net rankings, San Mateo. They've had some big wins, like that win over City College of San Francisco, but then they've also taken some losses, like that one to Butte and American River. Right behind them is Ventura at number 7. Now, Ventura, just about 2 weeks ago, was as high as number 3 and 4 here on our SportsNetUSA.net poll. But Ventura has taken 2 straight losses, and the last one came against College of the Canyons. So Ventura ends up dropping all the way down to 7, and Fresno is right behind them, joined by City College of San Francisco and Laney. Now, when you look at City College of San Francisco, you look at them and you say, okay, the Rams, another team like San Mateo, who went all the way up to number 2 on the list, but they just weren't able to continue that success long enough to stay up in that top 5. Laney, the same thing. Laney got up to number 2 right behind Fullerton. At one point, they were 5-0 this year. Well, now they've got 2 losses to their credit, and they're just sneaking in at number 10 overall. Then we switch over to the little-known American Division, and we say little-known because it just doesn't get that much attention other than on SportsNetUSA.net. The American Division starts off with number 1 Reedley. Why, you ask? Well, they're undefeated. And since Reedley is undefeated, they slot ahead of Chaffee, even though Chaffee has been good all season long, with the only 1 loss coming to Riverside City College. Reedley slots ahead of them at number 1. Then at number 2, of course, is Chaffee, and they are currently sitting at 8-1 this season after a win on Saturday. San Bernardino Valley is sitting at number 3. Of course, a couple weeks back, they beat Mount San Jacinto, and they just continue to climb in our poll. And they're joined by Allen Hancock, who has the number 1 rushing attack in the entire state of California. And yes, that does include National Division teams. Allen Hancock ranks number 1 on the ground. De Anza College slots in behind them at number 5 overall. They had a win on Saturday as well, as they took down Foothill. Hartnell is in at number 6. They have 1 loss to their credit. They were one of the 2 remaining undefeated teams in the American Division up until last week. LA Valley, who has had 4 straight games where they put up over 450 yards of offense, slots in at number 7. The LA Valley Monarchs continue to climb their way up the leaderboards. They'll be followed by Yuba, who continued their winning ways on Saturday afternoon, and Mount San Jacinto, who had a steep drop from number 1 overall all the way down to number 9 after 2 consecutive losses for Coach Mazzota's squad. The final 2 teams are Citrus and Monterey Peninsula in the American Division on SportsNetUSA.net's poll this week. So once again, Fullerton ranked at number 1 in the National, Reedley ranked at number 1 in the American. Now we switch over to a team here on SportsNetUSA.net, the Golden West Rustlers. On Saturday, they had a chance to make sure that they made themselves be in contention to be bowl eligible. And if that sounds confusing, it kind of is. You're looking to get to at minimum 5 wins in the National Division. Well, in order for Golden West to do that, they had to win on Saturday against Southwestern. So how do they do that? Well, they start off by going down to Southwestern and immediately getting on the board with a touchdown pass to Ben Ratzliff from Bo Kalbacher from inside the 20. However, that would be responded to by a Medina 34-yard field goal. He would follow that up with another boot from 50 yards out. Medina was spectacular on Saturday afternoon, going 2 of 2 on his field goal attempts. Arredondo would get on the board for Golden West, and he would actually convert on his 3rd field goal of the season and set a career high as a 34-yarder goes right through the uprights. And you look at the 2 kicking games between both sides, Arredondo, Medina for Southwestern and Golden West, both of them were terrific, and it really would play a factor later on in the afternoon. The Rustlers would get another touchdown. They'd go up 17-6 at one point over Southwestern. And the Rustlers, with Bo Kalbacher leading the way, he was able to toss one over towards the right-hand side to Jonathan Earl, who makes the nice haul in for a touchdown. And it would be the Rustlers 17, Southwestern 6. Southwestern would reply. It would take them nearly an entire quarter to do so, but with under 7 minutes to play in the 4th, Southwestern got themselves a touchdown pass, going from Hernandez Torres over to the left side to Huziga, and they would get a touchdown pass from Hernandez Torres over to Peyton Huziga from 18 yards out. The 2-point conversion was failed on, and it would be 17-12. Just about a minute or so later, Southwestern gets back on the board with a DeAndre Daniels 19-yard touchdown run. This time, DeAndre Daniels would run it in for the 2-point conversion. It'd be a 3-point game at 20-17. Just when Golden West looked like they were about to drop their 6th game of the season, Southwestern with a mishap. It was a muffed spike that ended up never leaving the ground, and Ryan Raines was able to pick it up and fall on it for Golden West. Golden West with the takeaway, and with the call of the game-winning touchdown for Golden West, the voice of Golden West College football, here's Rashawn Haylock.
Far from a first down, pick up a 4. Kalbacher on second down, looking end zone. Caught! Jonathan Earl! Touchdown, Rustlers! Stadium, the setting. Kalbacher under center, takes the snap, takes a knee. Time going to expire on this one as the Rustlers going to pick up win number 4 of the season and keep their bowl berth hopes alive as they come down here to San Diego and pick up a 24-20 win over Southwestern to pull even now in Southern Conference play. What a night here for the Rustlers.
We thank you for joining us here on the Coaches Show on SportsNetUSA.net. Well, Fullerton College, they've got one more week on the schedule this upcoming Saturday against Mount Sac right here on SportsNetUSA.net. A chance to make a statement to prove themselves worthy of a 3rd straight national title. Fullerton College, Mount Sac this upcoming Saturday. If you want to listen and watch the game, you'll tune in to Mark Pavlovich and Corey Nalen, the 2 voices of Fullerton College football. Once again, that's this Saturday on SportsNetUSA.net. For Mark Pavlovich, Phil Austin, David Robinson, my name is Ryan Osborne. You've been watching and tuning in to the Coaches Show all season long. This upcoming week, well, we've got some basketball coming your way right here on SportsNetUSA.net. We thank you for joining us here on the Coaches Show. on SportsNetUSA.net.